Hello, welcome back. This is Morris Gimba, and today we want to create an assembly of this whole truss. Let me just show you how we can do that, because this is a manually created truss, is not a truss created by macro. So you have to assemble all the parts so that it comes. You organize your assembly how you want it to be fabricated in the workshop and be lifted or be shipped to site for assembly, for erection. So we have this truss split into two. One section will be carried to site, and this section will be carried to site. So it will be lifted by crane and be bolted. One side be bolted on this, while holding this in position, we'll bring this and assemble it right at the center here, at the apex here. Then bolt the splice at the bottom end here. Then do the rest. Now, as it is now, we have our assembly not fully assembled, so we want just to put everything as an assembly. So if I just mouse over here, select this member, the internal codes or the internal struts or the internal members, and right click and come to assembly, we'll find that we have all these already assembled because of this particular welding you can see here. So COMOSYS will read it as one assembly. So if we go the same way here, if we click any member here, then right click and come to assembly, we'll see everything has been assembled. So if I click, if I click assembly, you see the top and the bottom code has been left out. So there's no way you will be able to carry this as an assembly and leaving both top and bottom code. So we have to carry top and bottom code as an assembly like this one as it is, then do the assembly on site or do the erection on site. Now let's add the top code and the bottom code to the internal members as an assembly. So we'll come to weld here, then select weld, then we'll select the edge there of that particular top code, then select any member here and add to that. We'll do the same, and prior to doing that, let's first of all check whether everything has been added, or if it's fully assembled. So I'll select any member here on the internal members, then right click and come to assembly here, and if I click on that, we'll be able to see we've assembled everything here. And to prove that, I'll be able to right click and come to show only selected, and we'll be able to see we only have this member in place. We have only this member. Once welded or fabricated in the workshop, this will be carried on a truck that will be able to accommodate the full length of this particular truss. You can see that this will be carried, though these plates will be unbolted and will be bolted on site during when erection will be ongoing. So you can see that at the apex here we have that flange already done neatly, and we have that in place. So the assembly has left out the bolts, or they have been just converted to holes instead of bolts. So you can see that this is full assembly, and you can just go ahead and create a drawing for this. So let me just right click and come to show all. So if we come on the other section of this particular truss, you can see if I select on this member, right click and select assembly, you'll be able to see only this member has been selected as an assembly. So I'll right click and come to special copy here. I'll come to select or select or show only selected, and we'll be able to see only this one. And this is not the best assembly. This you cannot take to site as an assembly. You can see that. So let's add that to our assembly. So I'll come to weld here and select on weld. Then I'll snap at the edge right there and add it to our internal assembly here. So if I right click here and try to pick any member of this, right click and come to assembly, you'll be able to see we have this member added to the top code added to the bottom end as an assembly, but the bottom code is not added. Right click and come to show selected, so you can see only this has been added to assembly. So we want to add the bottom code. I'll right click and come to show all, and I'll come to weld again, pick on the weld, then I'll add these to the assembly. Right click and try if this has been added. I'll come here and click assembly, and if I right click once again and show selected, you'll be able to see this has been added to assembly, though we are leaving a gusset plate here. So what we are going to do, we are going to add that gusset plate, or you can just leave it as it is, because the other side has also included it inside the assembly. So it's always a good practice so that we can add that and make it look much better. Right click and show all. So if I come here and come to weld this, weld that to that, and the welding has been created. So let's try if our assembly is in place. It has been left out still. So I'll come back to weld. I'll come back to weld and weld this member, weld this member to this member. So if I right click and try to check my assembly right there, I'll be able to see it's still left out. So what next step do we need to take? What action do you need to take for this? Let me first of all undo that so that we remove unnecessary weld. Let me select assembly, and that has been, everything has been included. So the part remaining, just this single gusset plate that has been added. So we want to add it. So to add it, let's try the automatic to object welding. So we select this member and add it to that member, then right click. So if you select it, right click and come to assembly, you'll be able to see it's still not adding up. So we try that. We'll try this member here. And first of all, turn it into a position. I'll be able to add it well. Let me select on that member, select on this, and add that. Perfect. Now if I come here and show assembly, we'll have everything included. If I click show selected, we'll be able to see that has been included. Perfect. So this how you can narrow down or add assembly and exclude assembly of your model. So this is how you can do it. So if I right click and come to show all, I'll be able to see that in place. So let's add the base plate at the bottom end here. So there's one thing I need to add. So we need to add the eave. So under the eave here, you can see I have a point here. This point, we can just confirm the length. If I come to check the distance, if I come here and check on that distance, this is 82. So I want to add, this will be carrying the gutter because the iron sheets, the sheets will be flowing, all that will sloping on that, and will be draining water on the gutter here. So let me just define or create a member that will be suspending the gutter, where the gutter will be bolted. So I'll come to points here. I'll come to edit to access the point. I'll snap on that point, though we have a point in place. So we'll just copy this point, right click and come to copy and click linear. So under linear, I'm going to offset this point by 400 in the direction of x-axis, but negative prefix. The negative prefix on the side of x-axis. So I'll type in negative sign, then type 400 and click copy. Just one copy. So if I zoom out, I'll be able to see this member, this point. So I'll copy this point upward by 100. 100 will be okay. I'll take it up by 100. So I'll have to change everything to 0 except on the side of z-axis. Since you're going up, we are moving on the positive direction, so we don't need to prefix it with a negative sign, because as it is, it's positive. So we click on that, we click close. So here, this is 100. So we want to offset it on the x-axis once again. Select on that point and come to special copy. And we want to take it again on the x-axis direction by 50. 50 is okay. So we have to change z-axis to 0. So on the x-axis, we'll feed in here 50 millimeter and click. So we have to prefix this with the negative sign because we are moving in this direction, in the opposite direction of x. So if I click on that, we'll have our point in place. So let me just place a member here. I'll pick on that member. I'll snap on that spot and move all the way to that spot. So we have our angle line in place, and we'll come here and place another member here. place another member there. So let me just turn that around like that so that you see. So as it is, it's kind of tricky to place our gutter. There's no place it will be able to be bolted properly. So we have to rearrange the placement of this particular member. So select on that member, press Control Q so that we can turn that back to that far end. So select this one once again, select Q, and that will be able to connect with that. So we have to fit these members because as it is now, there's no proper fitting here. So we'll have to fit this. So where to get the right tool for this? We'll come to beam to beam connection, and we pick on the fit connection. So if I pick on the fit connection macro, select on that and select on this, I'll be able to create a connection right there, or I'll be able to fit the two members. So let me rotate this and turn that, and I want to create an end plate connection between this member to that column. I'll minimize that and come to beam to column connection. So if I come there, I'll be able to pick on general end plate. So if I pick on general end plate, I'll be able to select this member and that member, right click to create a connection. There is no connection created. So which tool can we apply? Let's first of all try that once again. Select mainframe. This is the mainframe, and this is the second member. So I'll right click and I'll right click to come out of that command. So you can see we have this member in place. And prior to that, we have first of all to identify the holes, identify the placement where where we will locate the holes where the gutters will be bolted against this particular member. So we have to define the location of holes. So this will take us back to edit menu. Then we come to point. We select on dividing points. So I'll use this existing point here and move all the way to this far point here to get the midpoint between these two. So in between these 2 points, I want to get the midpoint here. I'll come back to dividing points and snap on that spot and move all the way to that spot so that I get this midpoint. I'll come back here and snap all that spot and to get that midpoint. I'll do the same thing here on the inclined member here. I'll come to dividing points and I'll snap on that spot and come all the way to that spot and snap. So let me create another point there and create another point here. Perfect. So you can see that. So once we have that in place, we can go ahead and create a connection here. So once we have a connection in place, just select any member, any part of that connection, double tap letter M on your keyboard and enter. So this will take us to our macro preset here where I'll just load in the member or the type of connection I've just I need to apply there. I'll click load to load my setting and click apply. And if I come to OK here, select that point, your point of interest, and press your right button and hold and move your cursor like that. So we have that point, that part has been created. Now we want to create the holes here. I'll come to bolts under steel, then pick on the bolt. So I'll select the part I want to create the bolt on, then right click. Then I'll snap on that spot and snap on this spot here, on the points I had created. So you can see these bolts are way off the target or the defined points or the defined distances. So to check the points or to check the bolt location, I'll select on the bolt, right click and click hide selected. So I want to check this distance from here to here. What's the distance? I'll right click to interrupt, then right click once again, interrupt, then right click and come to measure. Then I'll snap on that spot and this spot and this spot. This is 100 and this is 200. So this is the 100 at center to center of those of that bolt. Now I'll right click and come to show all, then double click on this bolt, then come to positions here. Now under positions as it is now, from this center to this center 60. And by default, we have 2 bolts in place. So we'll get rid of this 0. Now we want two bolts. 2 bolts at 100. So if you come here and click OK, we'll be able to have 2 bolts. But this we will only have 2 bolts here off by 100 millimeter. So we go back and add another bolt here. Just add 2, add 1 to make it 3, and click OK. So we'll see another bolt added. So let's add 0 there and click apply. So we have bolt here and we have an extra. So we have to get rid of another one there and click OK. So we have our 3 bolts in place. So I'll turn that round. And to confirm whether it's 100% of the center, just hide this bolt first and check that. You can see it's exactly on the required location. Then right click and come to show all. Then come here. We want to add another bolt here and another bolt here. And since the way it is, the way this member has been placed, it is on an inclined plane. So we have to place or orientate our work plane tool or work plane or axis to take the slope of that particular member. So what we are going to do, we'll come to, let's first of all try if it will work and see what's going to happen. I'll come to bolt, then select this member, right click and snap on that spot and snap on this spot, and you'll be able to see how the bolt is. It is following the XYZ plane as it is here. It is on the global position. So I'll click on that and delete. So I want to take this axis and arrange it or orientate it into the slope like this member slopes. So I'll come to view, then click on this drop down arrow and select to surface. So I'll select the surface of that member. So you can see this our plane has taken the slope of this particular member. So I'll come to steel here and pick on the bolt, select the member I want to place a bolt on, right click and come to that spot and this spot here. So we have the bolts in place. So if I double click on that bolt, I'll be able to change this to 16 millimeter or M16 and click OK. Then come here, also double click here and change this to M16, right, like that, and click apply. So we want to show only holes, not bolt type. So just select hole, click OK, then select on that, double click on that and pick hole because we want only to see holes there. So this is how it looks. And now we want to place the base plate as it is now. We'll come to base plate. Let me just minimize this and come to base plate, and I'll pick on the base plate, select the column, and we have a base plate in place. Select on that and base plate is in place. Now I want to copy this on the other end. I'll select this member, press Ctrl and select everything here. Right click and come to special copy here. And since our XYZ plane is not on the global position, I'll come to view and take it to global position. So then, having selected all this member, I want to mirror them on the opposite direction. So I'll right click and come to special copy here and pick on mirror. So under mirror, still our mirror line is still on the same location, and in the right location, I'll come to options and click apply. So I'll click close and come this far end here and check whether we have this in place. Not the best position, so what we are going to do, we are going to recheck that and make it better. So I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to select on any part of that member, double tap letter M and enter. Then I'll come to presets here and click end plate, if end plate connection, then load, then click apply. Still not responding, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just select this member and delete, because I don't want to jump back and forth. I want to go straight and create it. Let me just undo that, undo that, undo that. So let me delete that. So I'll come back here on the beam to column. Then I want to invoke that command, select that member and select this member. So we have that in place. So I'll select that member, double tap on letter M and enter. Then I'll come to my preset here, pick on if end plate and click load and click apply. It's still not taking the best. It's still not taking the best orientation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to change these measurements. I'm going to change this to 40. Let me just turn that. Apply. Change that to 100. Change this to 2 by 40. Apply that. Let me just undo that and undo that. So I'll undo this and then change. Let me just change my XYZ plane. I'll come to more options here and select on that member. Then let me just place my XYZ plane on that spot. Then come here and select everything here. Press Control and rotate that. Then right click and come to Spatial Copy. Click on Linear. Then click Run. So if I come here and check, it's still not responding. I'll turn that. I'll close my mirror there. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select this member, then double tap letter M to see how we can work our way on this. So in here we have 100. We change that to remove that. We click apply. Remove that. Take that to 40. Take that to 100. Take this to 100, which is wrong. Change that. We need two bolts there. Just a bolt right there. By 85 or 40. Let me just apply my default settings here, load and apply. Let me select on that, double tap letter M so that we come here. Plate, weld. Okay, due to time, let me just show you on how we can you can work your way out of that, and let's meet then. Let me just click OK. So once assume this is correct now, and first of all, before we populate this along the axis, let me just take that to global plane. Let me first of all delete this one first because it's not responding well. Now let me close that. So if I select everything here, then I'll come to the spatial copy and pick on linear. If I pick on linear right there, I'll come to I'll change that to 0. Then on the y-axis, I'll come here and I want to populate this along the y-axis. So I'll mouse over here until I see a red snap there. Then I'll snap on that spot. So the moment I snap on that spot, I need 10 of this since I have one in place. So I'll just click here up to 10. Then click copy. Give some time to copy everything. You can see on the screen here. Give it some time and everything will be copied. You can see copying #2 has been done, 3 has been done, bay 4 is next. You can see that bay 4 is next. Bay 4 is done, bay 4 is coming, bay 5 is coming, and bay 5 is done until we reach bay 10. Let's give some time to complete that process. We're on bay 7, you can see that. Bay 8 and bay 9 is coming. And bay 10 next, and everything will be completed. Bay 10 is done. Let it just summarize everything. That's all about that. Let's close that and close that, and you can see we have our truss already populated along the x-axis. You can see that. You can see that. Perfect. So let's meet then on the next presentation. I'll try to show you how we can modify or play around with how we play around with the detailing of this particular truss. Let's meet then. I'm Morris Dimba, and don't forget to subscribe.